You get introduced to someone, and 5 seconds later, their name is gone. You walked into a room and forget why you came in. You study a list at night, and by morning, it has evaporated. So it's easy to decide you were just born with bad memory. You weren't. Here's the proof. There are people who can memorize a shuffled deck of cards in under a minute, or hundreds of random digits in a row, and almost none of them were born that way. They learned a small set of techniques, techniques that have existed for thousands of years and that anyone can use. Because your memory isn't broken. You're just feeding it information the way it's worst at holding on to: abstract, wordy, and boring. So in this video, I'll show you how memory actually works and the exact techniques to make almost anything stick, fast. Stay for the memory palace. It's the one world champions use, and it honestly feels like a cheat code. And this is worth learning. A sharp memory isn't just for passing exams. It's about remembering names, pulling up facts on the spot, and having a mind that feels reliable instead of leaky. Imagine never blanking on a name again, or walking into an exam knowing the material is locked in, or reeling off a speech with no notes. That's what's on the table. If you appreciate this type of content, gently tap that like button. Now, let's get into it. First, let's clear up why you forget so much. It isn't a storage problem. Your brain has effectively unlimited room. It's an encoding problem. It's about how the information goes in. Here's the key. Your brain did not evolve to remember words, numbers, or abstract facts. It evolved to remember places, images, and things that mattered for survival. A face, a path, a danger, something vivid or emotional. So when you try to memorize a dry list of words, you're using your brain's weakest tool for the job. Think about it. You can picture your childhood bedroom in perfect detail, years later, without even trying. But a phone number from 10 minutes ago is already gone. Same brain. The difference is that one is a vivid place and the other is dry, abstract digits. The fix is simple. Stop feeding your memory boring, abstract information. Start translating everything into what your brain is brilliant at. Vivid pictures, in places, connected to things you already know. That's what every technique today is built on. Here's exactly how. Technique 1. Turn it into a picture. Your brain remembers images far better than words. So the first move with anything you want to hold on to is to convert it into a concrete, vivid picture in your mind. Say you need to remember to buy milk. Don't just repeat the word milk in your head. Picture a giant carton of milk exploding all over your front door, white splashing everywhere. That image sticks. The plain word doesn't. And abstract ideas work too. You just have to make them concrete. If you're learning that inflation means money losing value, picture your wallet slowly deflating like a sad little balloon. The rule is simple. If you can see it, you can remember it. So turn words into pictures and turn ideas into scenes. This even fixes the classic one, forgetting names. When you meet someone, turn their name into a picture and stick it on their face. Meet a rose, see a bright red rose blooming out of her collar. Meet a mic, picture a giant microphone in his hand. Suddenly, the name has somewhere to live, instead of floating off the second you hear it. Technique 2. Make it weird. A normal, sensible image fades fast. A strange, exaggerated, funny, or even slightly disturbing one sticks like glue. Your brain is wired to notice whatever breaks the pattern. Anything unusual gets automatically flagged as important. Psychologists even have a name for it: the bizarreness effect. Odd images are remembered far better than ordinary ones. So don't picture a plain, ordinary apple. Picture a giant apple with legs chasing you down the street, screaming. Add motion, exaggeration, humor, or emotion. Make it enormous, or tiny, or on fire, or dancing. The more ridiculous it is, the more it sticks. Boring is forgettable. Bizarre is unforgettable. And don't just see it. Feel it. Hear it. Smell it. The more senses your image fires, the deeper it lodges. A screaming apple you can hear and a milk explosion you can smell are far stickier than a silent, flat picture. Technique 3. Hook it onto something you already know. Your memory is a giant web of connections. A brand new fact floating on its own has nothing to attach to, so it quietly slips away. But if you tie it to something already firmly planted in your memory, it holds on. So whenever you learn something new, ask yourself, what does this remind me of? What do I already know that this connects to? If you meet a man named Baker, link him to an actual baker you know, covered in flour. If you're learning a foreign word, hook it to an English word it sounds like. The Spanish word for cat, gato, sounds like gateau. So picture a cake-shaped cat. New information glued to old information becomes almost impossible to lose. And by the way, if you'd like a step-by-step way to build habits like these, I've made it easy. There's a free 5-day brain training sample linked in the description. It turns this kind of thing into one simple page a day. Grab it after the video. Okay, back to it. Technique 4, and this is the one I promised you, the memory palace. This is the technique memory champions use to memorize entire decks of cards in thousands of digits. It's been around since ancient Greece. They called it the method of loci. It sounds like magic, but it's genuinely simple. Here's how it works. Take a place you know extremely well, like your home. Picture walking through it in a fixed order. Front door, then hallway, then kitchen, then the sofa, and so on. Now, take the things you want to remember. Turn each one into a vivid, weird picture and place it along that route. One image per spot. To recall the whole list, you simply take the mental walk again. The items are waiting exactly where you left them. Let's do a quick one. Say you need eggs, bread, and coffee. At your front door, picture eggs raining down and smashing on the doormat. In your hallway, a loaf of bread wearing a hat waving at you. And on your kitchen counter, a giant coffee cup overflowing like a waterfall. Now, take the walk. Door, hallway, counter. Eggs, bread, coffee. You will never forget it. And you're not limited to one palace. You can use your street, your old school, your commute, any route you know by heart. Memory champions keep dozens of them, each holding a different set of information, ready to walk through anytime. Why does this work so incredibly well? Because it combines everything at once. Vivid images, weirdness, and your brain's astonishing memory for places. You already remember the layout of your home perfectly. So you're just hanging new information on a structure you'll never lose. A grocery list, a speech, the key points of an exam answer. If you can picture it, you can store it in a palace, then walk it back out later, in order, without a single note. Technique 5. Chunk it. Your working memory can only hold a few things at once. That's exactly why a long string of random numbers feels impossible, but a phone number is doable. The secret is that a phone number is already broken into 3 small groups. That's chunking. Taking a long, overwhelming string and breaking it into a few meaningful bytes. So instead of holding 1, 4, 9, 2, 1, 7, 7, 6 as 8 separate digits, group it. 1492 and 1776, 2 dates you might already recognize. Suddenly, 8 things collapse into 2. Chunking works for anything. Break big, overwhelming information into small, meaningful groups, and your memory can suddenly hold what felt impossible a moment ago. It's why we split credit card numbers into 4s, and why 1984 is easier than 8 loose digits. Your brain loves a small, meaningful group. Now, one honest thing before you go and use this. Even the best encoded memory will fade if you never revisit it. Encoding gets it in fast. A little review is what keeps it there. So after you memorize something, revisit it briefly. Later that day, then the next day, then a few days after that. Each quick review tells your brain, this one matters, keep it. And the memory locks in for good. You don't need much. A few seconds of recall spaced out over a few days turns a clever short-term trick into a permanent memory. A good rhythm is simple. Recall it once tonight, once tomorrow, and once this weekend. 3 tiny check-ins, and it's yours for good. And a fair warning, the first few times you do this, it's going to feel slower and sillier than just repeating something over and over. Building pictures and walking palaces takes a little effort up front, but that effort is exactly why it works, and it gets fast surprisingly quickly. Within a week of practicing, you'll be turning things into images almost automatically, and remembering things that used to slip away in seconds. Push past the awkward beginner phase, and the payoff is a memory that feels almost unfair. So let me make this real. Here's your first challenge, and you can do it today. Take a short list, 5 things you need to do, or 5 items you need to buy. Turn each one into a vivid, weird, exaggerated picture. Then place them along a walk through your home, 1 image per room. Close your eyes and take the walk. You'll surprise yourself. You'll remember all 5 in order with 0 boring repetition. That is not a trick reserved for geniuses. That's simply how your memory was designed to work, once you actually use it right. And once it works on a grocery list, it works on anything. A speech, a language, the facts for a test, same trick, bigger stakes. Because here's the whole idea. You were never bad at remembering. You were just storing things the hard way, abstract, flat, and boring. Turn it into a picture. Make it weird. Connect it to what you already know. Place it in a palace. Chunk it down and review it a little. Do that, and you can memorize almost anything, faster than you ever thought possible. Your memory was never the problem. The method was. And it compounds quietly. Once remembering feels easy, you learn faster, you sound sharper, and you stop leaning on your phone for everything. People will think you were born with great memory. Really, you just stop storing things the boring way. Now, memory is only one of 5 mental muscles you can train, alongside focus, discipline, emotional control, and recovery. I'm putting the whole system together in a complete brain training guide that's coming to this channel soon, so make sure you're subscribed, because that's the one you won't want to miss. I'm Simon, reminding you that your brain is a muscle, so let's train it every day. I'll see you in the next one.